So previous session we were understanding about like how to execute a flow rule, right? Okay, so first we created properties and then we created section, then flaction and then flow rule. So now we are understanding something in detail inside a flow rule. So you know how to link a flaction inside a flow rule, and you know what are the available smart shapes as of today. And in this process, you came to know importance of what sub-process is, what utility is, what decision shape is, and other things. And then inside flow rule, particularly under process tab, okay, particularly under process tab, we made two changes. So that is, we marked one checkbox, that is create new work object ID. This is one checkbox what we marked. Okay, and the other one, if you scroll down, there is something called work parties, if you remember. So there it was showing as default, right? So we changed that to PY case management default. And we executed this flow rule, and we have seen the main screen getting loaded and with some work object ID. Okay, maybe in my case, I might get different number, and in your case, it should start with C-1. So this C is something which is fixed. Okay, and based on how many records we have in database table, the next number is getting incremented. No surprise there. First of all, from where are we getting C as this boring hard-coded value? Maybe if my client wanted it to be something different static value or different dynamic value, where and how to make the changes. Okay, so these things anyway will come to know. And in this particular output screen, apart from the design what I have done, maybe if I go back and look for my section, I have hardly included maybe two or three dynamic layouts within which maybe design is about 2 by 2 and below which 3 by 3, below which 4 by 4, whatever. And here I am not just seeing my design alone. So my design is like embedded into some OOTB design where I can see some header part, maybe right side part, maybe something like buttons and something below advisors and other things, right? So there is already some OOTB screen maintained within which my section is just embedded. So there we confirmed assignment shape is having some output to be displayed. I can see some OOTB output there. And if I have one more assignment shape, no doubt similar design will be there. Internally, this subsection alone will be like deferred. Okay, so how many assignment shapes you take? Suppose if I have three assignment shapes. So whenever this assignment one is being loaded, I'll see some high level design within which section number one, what you maintain, that will be just plugged in. Similarly, assignment 2 key, some OOTB design will be there and section 2 will be like embedded. Assignment 3, OOTB design and section 3. And once all my three sections are done as per this current example, so it must take me to the last screen. That is like even at end shape, we observed an OOTB UI part showing as thank you for input. Even that must be customized in the real time. So if you are the bank employee or if you are like in CSR, customer service representative, so consider you are an CSR in Airtel. So what generally you'll do, you'll try to use one Airtel portal. And if I'm as a customer calling you asking for some prepaid to postpaid, you will be trying to run this flow rule. Running the flow rule in the sense, you will be logging into user portal, you'll simply click on a button. So upgrade to postpaid or prepaid, that's it. So background of flow will run. You don't know what is start shape, you don't know what Pega is, you don't know what is assignment shape, but still you'll see screen one, screen two, and only and the last screen alone. So in output, how this flow is behaving, that is what clearly we are correlating. Okay, so this is what some OOTB design what Pega is providing. Now my Airtel Management saying like, I don't want this C-1 or I don't want this blue color or I don't want this right side widgets or I don't want this below part or I want my own Google Maps showing below. Whatever it is, this OOTB part is also customizable. No doubt they'll ask you to change. And once all these things are done, whatever the last screen you get, that also must be customizable. So instead of showing like thank you for input, I wanted to show maybe like some survey. So how is like interaction with this customer? How easy is it to connect to the customer? Whatever it is, I can modify the screen in terms of maybe collecting the data or submitting some feedback or advices, whatever it is. So how to modify the last one or how to modify these screens is what you have to clearly understand. Fine. So before we talking in detail about like output screen, so coming back, if I'm talking about like flow rule, so in the process tab, we particularly made two changes, right? First of all, what are those two changes? What is like importance of first one, maybe second one? Okay. So that is what we have to do. So if I'm trying to do something inside this flow rule, first of all, I'm seeing something yellow color warning. So what do you mean by warning? Somewhere best practice is not done properly. Am I not getting output? And yes, I'm getting proper output, but system is not considering it as the correct way. I can see some warning. Okay. So if I look into that warning, it is completely talking about like draft option. Okay. So, flow rules alone will be having something like draft on and off. So you look into any other rule like flaction or section or a binary file or an activity, you will not see draft mode. Only for flow rules, you'll see draft option. That too, it's purely under your control. You can make draft on. You can make draft off. Okay, so now the problem here is it is saying like draft is on. So first of all, draft intent is something like temporary, right? So if I'm sending an email to you, if it is not successfully done, it will be in my drafts, meaning this flow is also in draft mode. This flow is not successfully configured. Then why am I getting output? I can see everything perfectly output color, but error is or warning is you will not get this properly in some production environment. So what is this draft mode? Let me tell you with one small example. So today, consider I'm your senior manager. So where I created this flow rule and I'm done with the two assignment shapes I'm content. And I'm asking you to add the third screen. That's it. So there is already a flow rule with the two assignment shapes. Consider we all are developers. So as a developer, we will be accessing this URL. We have to call this as dev URL. And maybe after our internal development is done, so the next phase will be actually testing phase. So for testing team, there will be different URL. No doubt mean there will be different server running out. So how did I get this URL? Because of running one server in the background, right? So likewise, if testing team has got different URL, there will be different server for them. Okay, that is different story. That's fine. So now I'll be logging it with URL number one, that is into development environment, where I created few properties, say 10 properties, and maybe two sections. Okay, and two flagships and a single floor, whatever it is. As a developer one, I designed everything. And this is what happening as part of sprint number one. I'll talk about like what sprints also. So in high level in coming sessions. Okay, so as part of sprint number one, so there is something like testing phase also should be running, right? Now in this testing server, all the rules, whatever we are creating, those are to be deployed, property sections, everything. And any person logging into testing environment, mostly they can access user portal only. Tester KM role is the user role, right? So if a tester is logging in, he'll be getting like user portal. where he can hardly click on a button to run a flow rule. He don't know what Pega might be. He don't know what is like development studio, and he don't know what is like flow rule and other stuff. So his duty is to just check for the output screens as per the requirement. Okay. So now a senior most developer is asking you to design one more screen. That's it. Very simple task. So try to imagine this more carefully. So you are given a task to add one more screen. For that, as a business analyst, I'm giving you a mock-up based on which you are supposed to create maybe two more properties and then section and then new flaction. Two new properties, maybe a new section, a new flaction. But it is not about creating a new flow rule, right? You have to modify the existing flow rule. You have to modify by taking new assignment sheet. Okay, and consider whatever the change your manager is asking you to work on. This is like very hot fix, which is to be done in just 15 minutes time. It's just asking you to make these modifications in 15 minutes time. And you know, this issue is like very small thing. It will not take more than 5-10 minutes. So you designed everything and you are stuck up designing in a section. Okay, and you are familiar designing a section in layout mode. And once you are completely designed with layout mode, then you realized that it has to be converted or it has to be redesigned in template mode. Okay, so your manager is keep on following up with you whether this is completed or not, whether this is done or not. So you are like partially done, and maybe just for the sake of you told like this is like task is complete, just for the sake of maybe your manager is like keep on following up, right? And you thought it could be done in the next 5 minutes and you said like it is completely done. And as a manager, what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to deploy the latest changes into the testing environment. So in that process, because of this flow rule is not properly configured, and in the testing environment, some kind of partial changes might be deployed. Okay, so you as a developer, you did not completely work on this. Okay, and manager without this knowledge completely, without he knowing this, what is happening, is trying to deploy the rules where if a tester is now testing it, there might be chances of screen 1 properly loaded, screen 2 properly loaded. Because of this screen 3 partial changes, he might see something like blockage in screen 3. So he might raise a new defect saying like screen 3 is not loading perfectly. Okay, we are blocked now. I could not able to submit the overall flow rule. There might be a critical defect raised by the testing team. That is one scenario, one chance. Maybe second chance here is because of this third screen not properly configured, the entire flow might be like somewhere failure in the testing environment. So finally, this flow being the primary, this is like more important and primary role. Okay, if this is not fully configured, there might be chances of the existing behavior disturbed also. So consider I have 50 screens. So maybe if you are just working on 50 first screen, if you're trying to make modifications in the flow rule, and this flow rule because of not properly configured in just 10%, the whole part might be disturbed. That is where Pega is treating flow rule as something more primary or important rule. Okay, so they are giving an option flying draft on and off. Okay, now what is the specialty of draft on and off? Consider if I'm the developer where I'm supposed to make some modifications as per my manager's instructions. What I'm trying to do, I'm just trying to click on plus take one more assignment shape or decision shape. I'm trying to do something. Okay, in this process, maybe my manager, without the knowledge what I'm trying to work now, or without he knowing that I'm making changes, if he's simply deploying there, their system will throw one error saying like this rule is still in draft mode. Okay, so meaning every one of us, whoever is working on the floor, it is our basic responsibility to make it draft on. I have to make it on now. Then I have to make my changes. Maybe in between, if anyone is trying to deploy it to the next environments, system in this algorithm will check that flow is in draft mode. So it will keep that or it will hold that deployment. Then manager will approach you manually saying like, so why this flow list is still incomplete? So then I can able to add my justification, and maybe once my changes are done, I have to make this off and then I have to save. Then he can proceed for the deployment. System will not throw any error. So draft on and off is just for our developers communication in terms of deployment. So Pega will try to run and show the correct output. Suppose even if it is like draft on, I might get correct output, but in not in all the environments. It is saying like maybe in the production environment, it might throw an error, or maybe during the deployment phase, it might throw an error. So here your basic responsibility is first, whenever you're working on flow, you have to make it on. Maybe if I'm not making this on, even if I'm making changes also, it is allowed. I can make changes, but it will not properly kept hold during deployment if someone is deploying in the background when you're parallelly working on. So understood, right, every one of you, what is this draft option all about? Come on. Yes, right?
Yes,
Please tell
Chandra.
me. Yes, right? Okay. So now I made this draft off. Okay, that is one thing what we got completely clarified. Okay. And what are two other things we have to know inside this flow rule and so you come to process tab. As I told you, sometimes this might not respond properly. So you go for refreshing. So now if I click on process tab, I can see a checkbox, right? Earlier it was false. Okay, we made it to true, right? Now let me revert the change. Let me make it as false and let me save it. Okay, I'm just resetting. So let's run and check. So if I'm trying to go for actions, are you seeing run option? No, right? Are you seeing run option? Tell me, please respond, every one of you.
No,
No, no,
there's no
no,
run
no.
button.
Then only I'll come to know whether you are really understanding or not. So if you are really understanding, I can able to put my extra scenarios also. I can able to explain much more detail. Maybe if you guys are not responding, I will not know whether you are listening or not. Then even it might not be like boosting for me also. Okay, so now as of now, you are not seeing run option, right? So maybe if I mark this and if I save it, are you seeing run option? Yes, right? Yes. So it is very clear, flow rule, whatever I created, it is obviously meant for running only now. So I created one flow rule. Obviously, I have to run it. And here, if I mark this, then only I'm getting run option. So this checkbox looks mandatory, right? It is almost looking mandatory. In that scenario, why are we given this as an optional checkbox? So when I have to mark this, maybe in what scenarios I don't want to mark this. So this you have to know. So for that, let me tell you with one real-time example. Okay, suppose, okay, so you are going to ATM center, ATM center, right? So you'll be having a bank account and you will be given with some ATM debit card, and you can go to the nearest ATM center to withdraw money or to deposit money. Some transactions is what you can do. So maybe if you are trying to insert your ATM card and entering some PIN number, and what is like next screens we get it and consider this as like one big screen what you get, and there you'll get few options. So one option is about like money withdrawal. Okay, money withdrawal. And maybe one option is about like mini statement. Maybe one option is about like money deposit. Maybe something about like update mobile number, and maybe this side four more options. There can be total 10 such options or 8 such options, whatever it is. Now, if a customer clicking on this money withdrawal, what he'll get screen number one. So where he can enter amount how much he wanted. Consider I wanted to withdraw maybe 5,000 rupees. And the next screen, it will ask me what is like account type. Is it from current account you are pulling out or savings account? So my bank account might be tied up with maybe current account or banking account or credit account, whatever it is. It is further asking me from where you wanted to pull out. And in screen number 3, it might ask me in terms of denominations. So I want 100 rupee notes, or I want 5,000 or maybe 200 rupee notes, whatever it is. And next screen might be about showing as, do you want receipt in this or not? Okay. Or next screen is about like processing, please collect your cash. Okay, fine. So now on click of this button, there might be 4 sequence of screens displayed. And if this is purely developed on Pega, so as a normal bank user, I don't require what Pega is. And I don't know what flow rules are. I don't know what is happening. But background, what might happen? If I can see 4 screens, no doubt 4 sections must be there. 4 flagtions must be there. And there must be a single flow rule executed in this case. Am I correct? Okay, so there is a flow rule executed, maybe 4 screens sequential. And once my final transaction is completed, no doubt I'll collect the cash, right? And additionally, I'll be getting one receipt generated. Okay, receipt, a small slip getting generated. And in this receipt, there will be one unique reference number. Unique reference number. Fine. Now, if I'm trying to make one more transaction, something about like mini statement. So there I might get screen number 1 asking for recent 10 transactions or 20 transactions. Screen number 2, is it from current account or savings account? Maybe screen number 3, screen number 3, data might be displayed. Okay, recent transactions might be displayed. And finally, here also I'll get a receipt, and there one unique reference number will be there. No doubt this will be different to this one. So say 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, whatever. Now, if I can see 3 different screens, and then no doubt on this button, there must be different flow rule with 3 flagtions or 3 sections. And maybe on click of this button, I might have again a different flow rule executed, maybe a different screens. And this is something about like update mobile number, maybe a different screens. Different screens might be a different flow rule. Now consider if I click on this update mobile number at end of its transaction, will I get any receipt generated? Until no, no. And maybe the next option is about like apply for car loan. There can be an option as apply for car loan. On click of this, maybe I might get 3 or 4 screens. Maybe screen number 1, they might ask you, to enter your mobile number. That's it. Okay. And they might ask you to enter the OTP. And next screen, they might say like, so our person will reach you shortly. That's it. Meaning they are not processing anything from the ATM machine about your car loan, right? They are just taking it as an inquiry. That's it. So generally, if you wanted a car loan or if you wanted a home loan, so you should think about whom to contact, right? So you might go to a bank. Okay, maybe if it is on Sunday or maybe something like non-working hours. So you need not wait. You can go to the nearest ATM center and raise one query like this. Just an option what bank is providing. So where there are like 3 screens, and after these 3 screens, they might, maybe person might reach you in the next day or maybe after 2 days. So 3 screens are executed under no doubt background lo a flow rule might be with 3 smart shapes. And at the end of the day, are you getting any receipt for this? Until no, no, meaning I can see different flow rules executing, and not every flow rule is meant for work object ID generation. So few rules can generate work object ID, few cannot, few need not. Okay, now if I wanted a flow rule to generate work object ID, there I have to mark this checkbox. Maybe if I'm designing this flow rule where I don't generate work object ID, I'll uncheck this. As simple as that. Now, just now we witnessed that if this is unchecked, am I getting run option at it? No. Then how to run this ante? So if a flow rule which is not meant for ID generation, these cannot be executed standalone. Standalone meaning these cannot be executed on its own. So no doubt this must be executed as a child flow rule from something parent flow rule. Okay, so this must be executed as a child from parent. Okay, fine. So here coming back, I'm trying to design a flow rule and I'm treating this as the primary flow rule or something like high level, primary, major flow rule. So no doubt the major flow rule should be marked with this checkbox. So this will generate work object add. And somewhere internally, I might take one subprocess shape and I can call a child flow rule. And that child flow rule may or may not have work object ID generating. Okay, I can call a child flow rule. And for that flow rule, maybe in its process tab, the checkbox might be false, right? So finally, what I'm trying to say here is a flow can generate ID or need not. So if it can generate ID, it can be executed directly. If it cannot be generating work object ID on its own, it cannot run, cannot be executed. It must be executed as a child flow rule from some part of parent. So this is what basic thing what every one of you should understand. Clear, right? Every one of you clear, right? Now I'm trying to work on a flow rule where I'm treating this as the major flow rule or primary flow rule, right? So that is where I'm trying to mark this checkbox. Understood, right, everyone?
Yes, Chandra.
Yes,
Okay.
Chandra.
And even last time I gave you one small example. So consider this as my credit card application, maybe this as my loans application. So where inside credit card there might be maybe flow rule with three assignments. And here also there might be a flow rule with different screens. Here screen number one is about collecting basic details and there is about like mobile number to be entered. So as soon as I enter mobile number, I have to get one pop up immediately. And inside that pop-up, there might be consider two screens. Okay, where it is asking for OTP. And if I click on next there, it might show an OTP for email ID, whatever email OTP, whatever it is. So on click of this so and so button or whatever, I'm seeing a pop-up with the two screens, right? Nothing but two sections must be there and nothing but two flagships and obviously a flow rule. And even here in screen number one, after entering mobile number, I have to get the same. So no doubt this flow rule is purely related to credit card. This flow rule is related to loans. And for these two flow rules, maybe in framework, I can see something a flow rule with the two screens, which is to be used as a pop-up or model dialog. Okay. Now, for this flow rule, I don't require ID generation whenever this flow is executing. Do we require any unique transaction ID? No. Obviously, this flow rule, whenever executing, a credit card customer is generating. Within which screen number one, I am trying to call this flow rule. Meaning, a flow rule, if it is not meant for work object ID generation, it cannot be executed on its own. It must be called as a child flow rule from some part. So then I can able to uncheck that and proceed. So hope everyone clear with this discussion. Yes, right?
Yeah.
No confusions, right? Okay, fine.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So you are clearly understanding what draft mode is. You are understanding what is like importance of this checkbox. Maybe if I save now, I should see run option that is expected. And what is the other thing we are looking into? So at the last, there is something called work parties. And here you see something like PY case management default, right? Okay, so first let me run and show you. So you are seeing like as usual, the output screen. Now what I'll try to do is here, earlier it was as default. Let me change that. Let me keep it like older value that is default. And now save it. I'm trying to give the older value, that's it. Now, if I go for actions, no doubt you'll see run option. So there is no dependency of run option on this run, right? On this work parties. Now I can click on run. So are you seeing something different output now? Okay, so earlier I used to see this as my output with some ID generation and whatever the design I have done with something like blue color and some buttons. Okay, so now in the flow rule, if I'm trying to go back to the old things, which was as default, and if I'm trying to run, I can see it is showing a screen. So where, and this screen is like what I did not design. అంతే కదా? So this is purely OOTB part. Okay, so this is purely OOTB part. So from where are we getting this screen? That is one thing. And it will take care of validations anywhere. It is saying like value cannot be empty or something different validation. I did not take care. And it is showing one drop down and it is showing some button, edit button. And it is showing something like cancel and create also. I don't know what this design is about. Now, if I'm trying to, I can delete whatever it is, right? And if I'm trying to click on create, and are you not getting your original screen? Yes, right? So here the final observation, what you have to make it is, so this is my flow rule. Okay. And in flow rule, particularly for an work parties. So if it is PY case management default, there I observed one work object ID getting generated and I can see screen number 1 and within which our own design and with 3 buttons, that is submit, save and cancel. You have to clearly observe everything. Okay, submit, save and cancel. Okay, now in the same flow rule, maybe if work parties is equal to default, if work parties is equal to default, before your original screen, you are seeing one extra dummy screen, which is not available here. I am seeing one extra dummy screen. And in this dummy screen, there is like dummy design, what I don't know. I did not design this at all. Okay. And maybe if I'm trying to proceed further, then I'm getting my original screen. Maybe work object ID generated and my design as it is. So based on which can I conclude in this way? That is, if a work party is made PY case management, one dummy screen is skipped out. And if it is made default, one dummy screen is enabled. And rest everything is same. Will everyone agree with this observation? Yes, right? Yes, right?
Yes, Chandra.
Now, first of all, what is this dummy screen? And from where are we getting this OOTB part? And what is the necessity of I enabling that or maybe I disabling it, whatever. Okay, so let's talk about one more small example. So consider you are preparing for some government examination. So say today is January 1st, maybe if you are preparing for one examination like UPSC, okay, and today job notification is released and you are supposed to apply till January 30. Okay, 30 days time is what you are given with. So what generally aspirants will be doing here? So they'll try to log into website called upsc.com and they'll try to fill their details. Okay, so maybe their personal details, educational details and other things, and they may have to pay 500 rupees or 1000 rupees for the examination. So consider if you have made the payment, then what will happen in their database? So maybe one record will be inserted. Okay, likewise, all the aspirant data will be maintained in their database. And February 1st is your examination date. Okay, and for this examination, whatever the part design, consider this is purely developed on Pega. Okay, and you as an aspirant has to come to some examination center. You will not do it online, right? So you'll be going to some nearest center, whatever the center located. And consider if your exam is at 10 o'clock. you are asked to be reporting from 9:30 a.m. itself. So you'll be like settled in the room and you'll be sitting in front of your system or laptop. And there you'll see a screen like login. You have to enter your maybe hall ticket number and maybe like password, and you are supposed to log in. So you have to do this process at sharp 10 o'clock, and maybe 9:30 is what you're like waiting from there. Exactly at 10 o'clock, you are supposed to log in with your hall ticket number and password, right? What is this hall ticket number? So maybe on January 20, whenever you made the payment of 500 rupees, so your registration is successful and you got an email saying like, congratulations, this is successfully registered and your hall ticket number is, and your password is something like your date of birth, 0101 2000, whatever. General password will be your date of birth. So one random hall ticket number is getting generated. Am I correct? And that it's not random. It is based on the next sequence mostly. So here aspirant 1, aspirant 2. So he might be from Andhra Pradesh, he might be from Bihar. Whatever it is, hall ticket number might be like one sequence incremented. Okay. So their prefix is updated to HT, whatever it is. Call ticket number, so and so number, whatever it is. And here exactly at 10 o'clock, you are supposed to log in with the same hall ticket number and same password. If you can log in into this Pega application, no doubt you must be an operator, right? So whenever you made the payment, so background in their server, that is particularly in PR operators table, one operator ID is auto generated and your role is given as user there. Am I correct? So hall ticket number is nothing but your operator ID, and your date of birth will be your password and something like user role. And whenever you log in, so it will take you to the next screen that is about user portal. So now tell me, as soon as you log in at 10 o'clock, what is the next screen you get? So will you get directly question number 1 with some timer running up? Ideally no, right? So what you'll get, you might get some instruction screen displayed saying like correct answer carried 2 marks. Negative answer carries minus 0.5, and answered questions will be in green color. Maybe like left questions will be in brown color. Whatever it is, you will see some kind of instructions or terms and conditions. Okay, and from there you have to proceed further. So consider there is one terms and conditions displaying there as, if you fail in this attempt, you are not allowed for next 3 attempts. You are not allowed for next 3 years. That is what one terms and condition displayed for you. Okay, so maybe in that screen, you are supposed to mark one checkbox as I have read the terms and conditions, and then you have to click on something like agree. Then only it will proceed further. But unfortunately, so you are like surprised with one terms and conditions saying like if you fail this attempt, you are not allowed for next 3 years. After you looking at this, you thought not attempt it now. If you are not that confident, what you do, you ignore it, right? So maybe if you miss this attempt, generally this notification might be released once in 3 months, unconde. So I'll take 3 more months time and I'll prepare properly. And then I can just apply it for the after 3 months. Maybe if I fail now, next 3 years is what I want, cannot proceed. So you are not okay with this terms and condition. You might click on disagree also. If you click on disagree, no doubt happily you can leave the examination center as if like you have not attempted it. That is an valid scenario. Consider UPSC is giving an option to cancel the examination even at the last minute. Okay, so maybe few of the aspirants might click on disagree, maybe few might click on agree button. So if they click on agree, what is the next screen? No doubt they are like attempting now. Now, if they fail or if they stop anytime in between, also it is considered as failure scenario. So if they are like attempting, no doubt one work object ID, one unique transaction ID will be generated. Maybe question number 1 will be running out with some timer running out, right? Maybe if any person is clicking on disagree, so he's like not even attempted. He's like not even coming to the examination center also, doesn't matter. So What I'm trying to say here is before my original screen, there will be scenarios where I have to launch my extra dummy screens also. So these dummy screens are no doubt these are to be customizable. So this we generally use for collecting terms and conditions or maybe showing some instructions or something like survey kind of whatever it is. So maybe coming to the banking example. So if I'm like real bank user, considering credit card employee. So screen number one is about your collecting or registration of the process. And before this, I wanted to check for the eligibility, right? Based on your PAN card number, I have to check for your score, CIBIL score, and then only I have to proceed. So before my original screen, if I wanted to show something or if I wanted to check for something or collect something, so where if it is like proceeding further, work object ID generation happens and it will be continued. If we click on disagree, work object ID generation will not happen. As of now, work object ID is 8006. Maybe if I'm trying to run the flow rule, the next number must be 8007. But now today we made one dummy screen to be enabled. Meaning at this moment, I will not have work object ID generated. Are you seeing anywhere ID generated? No, right? No. And I have to customize this. I'll convert everything as like an instructions screen or terms and conditions related screen. And here I see some option of positive or proceeding further, and I see an option of canceling further. Now, if I click on cancel, so transaction is not kind of generated. Okay. And maybe if I'm trying to run it for one more time, and maybe if I'm trying to proceed further, so it must show 8007 only, meaning the earlier execution did not generate any ID. It should not directly jump to 8008. It is showing as 8007, right? So in this way, you should know some importance of the dummy screen. So here the dummy screen will be enabled if work parties is equal to default. And this dummy screen will be disabled if work parties is equal to PY case management default. So you know what dummy screen is about and how to enable it and how to disable it and you know some importance of that. Some importance of this. Now to be more particular, don't call this as dummy screen anymore. We have to call with some technical word so that we have to understand. So for everyone clear, any questions anyone? No questions, right?
Clear, Chandra.
Okay. So now let's talk more technical and then I'll give you some extra summarization points as well. So technically, whatever the dummy screen we are calling, this is to be called as new harness. As I told you, harness is something related to UI. And I can see different UI, right? Different look and feel, right? Meaning different harness, right? And we call this dummy screen as new harness. So in interviews, they might ask you. So say if you're going like in 3 years or 4 years experienced, your client or maybe your interviewer might ask you. So whether you are having new harness or not, is your project applicable with new harness or not? If so, what are the scenarios? So what exactly you have done that new harness? How to modify, how to customize, where exactly how to customize this? So maybe if I wanted to show more than one new harness, how to do? So before my original screen, if I wanted to show terms and conditions as one thing, maybe instructions as one thing, and something like survey details is what I wanted to connect. So how to display multiple such new harnesses before your original one. So what you have done there. So are you seeing any work object ID generated in new harness or not? How to enable, how to skip, everything is what you know. Okay, fine. So now consider if this is my flow rule, maybe with the three assignment shapes. Okay. And after running this flow rule, there might be chances of one dummy screen, what we call it as new harness, right? New harness is not mandatory, it's purely optional for your project. So, okay, so we call this dummy screen as new harness. Now here assignment 1, I'll get one output, right? Assignment 2, I'll get output. Assignment 3, one output. And all these three output will be similar. Similar in the sense, only internal subsection part will be changed, but overall view will be little different. And we technically call this as perform harness. Okay, how many assignment shapes you take? No doubt those many output screens is generally what you'll see, right? We call these as perform harness. Okay, and the last one, whatever you are seeing. So we call this, and even at the end shape you have seen, right? We call this as conform harness. Okay, the last one we call it as conform harness. Okay, so how to enable new harness, how to disable new harness, and how many assignment shapes you have, those many perform harnesses will be launched. And once all the perform harnesses are done, whatever the last screen, you call it as conform harness. Okay, conform harness. Now you know how a new harness will be looking like. You know how a new harness will be looking like by default, and you know how a perform harness will be looking like. And once you come to the last screen, you call this as conform harness, right? So total for a work object to be executed from starting till end. Initially, we thought there will be two types of harnesses only, but now we came to know one more thing called new harnesses possible. So likewise, total 5 harnesses can be applicable for a flow room, meaning 5 different type of output screens can be possible for an execution. Okay, I'm talking about from output portal perspective. So if I'm trying to run one work object ID, so I can see some new harness for collecting terms and conditions, and I can see maybe 3 screens for collecting your personal details or whatever it is. And at the end, so 3 type of different harnesses can be possible as of today. And likewise, total 5 harnesses can be there. Okay, what are the other 2 names? I'll let you know. But for now, you came to know that 3 harnesses. Now, what I wanted is, I'll just give you 5 seconds time. So you try to closely observe what is this new harness having. And you have to observe what is this perform harness or confirm harness having. Now I'll ask you questions on all these 3 type of harnesses. Just observe it for just 5 seconds of time. So you try to observe this confirm harness, and you try to observe this new harness, and try to observe this perform harness. Okay, fine, right? So shall I ask you a few questions on all these 3 things?
Yeah, Chandra.
This right? Okay. Someone please tell me how to enable new harness. Quickly tell me how to enable new harness. Chipali.
We can map it to default.
So you have to say it as work parties must be default. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay. So how to skip? You should say work parties must be PY case management default. Correct, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, what are the buttons applicable in new harness? What buttons?
Create and cancel. Create and cancel.
Cancel. Great. Create, cancel. What buttons you have seen? Maybe in terms of perform harness,
Save, cancel.
save, cancel. Okay. Very important thing, submit. Am I correct? Submit is
Yeah.
actually
Submit.
responsible for committing the data
So,
and object movement. Okay. What about confirm harness? What buttons you have seen for confirm harness? what buttons you have seen for confirm harness? Chapale.
I don't see any button. I don't remember it.
Next.
Okay, so you will not see any buttons at all.
Yeah, because that's the confirmation screen. Success message is the only one.
Correct. So that is the last screen where user don't require taking any action there. User in the sense maybe bank employee. He can hardly close the screen. That's it. So there will not be any button. Okay, fine. Now, in terms of work object IDs. So did you see work object ID in new harness?
No,
No, right?
no,
No. Did you see work object ID in perform harness?
no,
Hmm?
no.
Yes. Think so.
Yes. So are you not seeing work object ID here?
We can see.
Not see work object ID in perform harness? Yes. Okay, what about this one? Will you see work object ID in confirm harness? Yes or no?
Yeah,
Yes. Okay, you'll see work object ID even in perform harness. Okay. And in terms of read only or editable. So just tell me, what is this new harness about? Is it like editable or read only?
read only.
Read only. Okay. What about perform harness?
Editable.
Okay, perform harness must be 100% editable, right? So what is like perform harness? You know, that is like collecting for screen one, where the text boxes is what you can type, you can edit it. It must be 100% editable. What about confirm harness? So, you know,
Read
custom
only.
harness can be customizable. Whatever the screens you're ultimately seeing, those are customizable. Instead of thank you for your input, so maybe if I modified something different, maybe including an image or something message, or even if I included text box in that process, if the text box is showing here as editable, or if the text box is showing as read only, we call it as read only harness. And if it can be of what you can type either, we call it as editable. So now tell me, so this confirm harness, will this be editable or read only? So if I modify
Must
by including a text box, so can you keep modifying that until no? Okay, so this is purely read only. Even if you design this with some text boxes, you cannot type it, it will be grayed out. So this is purely read only. What about this new harness? Is
new
it
harness is also read only.
read only or editable?
New harness is also read only.
Okay, so as I told you with an example that new harness, if it is about like collecting some terms and conditions in terms of checkbox marking, are you not supposed to mark that checkbox? Yes, right? So if this
Okay,
whole screen is read only, how can you mark your data? Okay, so this
make
is
makes
purely
sense.
editable. Getting my point? This is
Yeah,
purely editable. So what harness meant for editable, what are meant for read only, and what are the two other harness names? Everything you'll come to know slowly. So as of today, I understood these three harness names. And just for your information, so other harness names are like review harness and the other one as py create. So these are the 5 harness available for an work object output screens, out of which. So this is purely optional. You tell me, is new harness mandatory and is it really mandatory every time? No, right? It is purely optional. Okay, so can I have more than one new harness until no? This can be only one in number. That is the drawback. Maybe if my client is asking about like I wanted to display 3 dummy screens, how to handle? It looks like a little problem, right? As of now, new harness can be either 0 or 1. So it cannot be more than one. Okay, what about perform harness? So can it be 0 or can it be 1 or more than one? Can I have multiple perform harnesses? First tell me that.
yes,
Yes, right? No doubt how many
yeah,
SLs you require. Those many perform harnesses should be there. Okay, so more than one is required, or even one is also okay, not a problem. So can I have zero perform harnesses? Meaning, can you have a floral without assignment shape?
It is meaningless. You should at least have one.
At least have one. Okay. I'll tell you with one small example then. Okay, so consider this as my credit card flow, and this is something like loan related flow. Okay, and this transaction and this transaction are completely different. Here we are collecting maybe customer basic details, something about like credit card related info, credit card passwords, whatever. So this is like completely different. So now what I wanted is whenever any customer taking any credit card, it must be stored in RBI database. So say we are working for SBI Bank or Citibank, whatever it is. So if a customer going to Citibank for a credit card and this data no doubt will be stored in their database, consider this as like Pega data. So there will be a table for credit card, there will be a table for this loan. Okay, no doubt, but this record must be stored in external database also. That is what RBI latest restriction is. So for that, so for that, what I have to do is here I'm trying to take one sub process. Okay, and sub process is somewhere created at the top, maybe at framework level. And in this sub process, I can create a child flow rule, right? Say child flow rule. And inside this flow rule, I just wanted to check directly whether customer is having past loans or not. If it is past loans, then I wanted to trigger an email saying like you are not eligible. And maybe if this is like no, consider this as yes, maybe this as no. If it is no, I wanted to run one utility shape in running one database query in the background. So here I am having one secondary flow rule where without any assignment shape. Am I correct? That's right.
Yes.
Okay, don't think this as the don't think that assignments are mandatory. Okay, it is mandatory if it is like primary floral. I can have a floral even without assignment shapes also sometimes, which might be purely for background processing. Okay, background processing, and I can call the same event here using a sub process shape. So finally, one small statement, what I'm saying is flow rule can have without assignment shapes also. Maybe ideally it might not be possible everywhere, but so here perform harnesses are also optional as considering the same example. Got my point? Okay, and what
Got
about
your
what is it?
got your point, but if you scroll down one more time, Chandra,
Hmm.
to the yeah. So I understand these checkboxes are not required, and you're calling something else from the framework. What is the input for you to launch that particular screen or particular sub process? You must at least enter your phone number.
No. Listen. So here, as part of credit card registration, after my fourth screen is collected, consider I'm a bank employee, I'm a business analyst. I'm giving you requirement saying like after fourth screen of credit card, I wanted to check whether customer is having proper eligibility or not. Okay, so can't you take one decision shape here? Yes, right.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
if it is like eligible, I wanted to send an email saying like it's not eligible. Okay, or maybe according to that, if is something otherwise scenario, I wanted to run one utility shape. Okay, so is this not the design you're making? Yes. And even in this flow rule, I wanted to again check for the same conditional based. Are you not seeing this piece as reusable? Yes, right?
That is reusable. Yes.
In that scenario, can't I create somewhere at the top and use it using subprocess each? That's right.
Certainly. Yeah. We can.
So are you not having a flow rule dedicatedly without any assignment shape? That's right.
There is. Yeah.
Maybe if this flow is executed, I need not have any perform harness. Don't think about this main flow rule. Okay, so without an assignment shape, what is the purpose of flow rule? That is what you are thinking in somewhere high level. But what I'm saying is there will be scenarios where there can be a floral without assignment shapes also. Maybe if you are running this individually, say not from here, not from here. If I'm sorry, if I'm trying to run this flow rule, no doubt it should start from start shape. I don't see any output there. Decision shape will not have any output. This will not have output. This will not have output. Ultimately, after I running this, I'll be getting the same confirm harness. Am I correct? So did you get any perform harness in this case? Did you get any new harness? No. So confirm harness is mandatory. So there cannot be an execution without confirm harness at all. Confirm harness is 200% is what you have to ultimately get. Perform harness is somewhere optional and new harnesses are also optional. Got my point, right?
I mean,
Understood?
no. I think I kind of understood, but then for you to call the sub-process, there must be a data input. You definitely have to input some data. Otherwise,
No, not
I
required.
know
So
this
this
does not
is
create a work
This is
object ID.
sub-process shape. So what is the
Correct.
meaning of sub-process shape? To call a flow rule. So if
Correct.
I'm trying to design a flow rule manually here, consider I'm not doing anything at the top. If I'm trying to design a flow rule manually, so if I'm trying to collect some details from the user, that is his mobile number and account. In screen number two, do I have to again collect the mobile number? No, right? Which is already collected as part of one transaction ID. Yes, right?
Correct.
Okay. So now if I'm designing it maybe manually aithe, so do I have to again collect his mobile number? No, as part of one work object ID. So data can be available everywhere in that flow rule, right? So you might run manually here or you might get somewhere from here for an work object ID getting generated. Data will be available everywhere. What is the point of again giving some input? Not required. అంతే కదా? So you'll come to know when I'm trying to run the case. So background, I have to show you one database table, and in between there will be something called clipboard. As part of one work object ID generated, no doubt background though. Okay, I might be collecting data from here. It will be available there. So screen 2 data will be available here. Screen 3 data will be available here. Now, if it is about decision shape, it has to pull the data from here. So this decision shape, you create it here or you create it from top and bottom, doesn't matter. This is part of this floral, maybe directly or indirectly. So it must be used. That's it. Got it?
Yeah. Okay.
Fine. So we'll continue the tomorrow's session.
Thanks, Chandra.